This land is your land. This land is my land. From California, well, to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf.
Welcome to Markie's World, and I'm your host, Markie Shinn. My guest here today is Jeanette. She's a beautiful, wonderful person, and I'm so glad that she's here today. Jeanette works for Stateville Correctional. She's a correctional officer, and she's a lieutenant. And I thought that she was very important for someone that, first of all, a woman.
Yes.
Women. You know, we are taking over with, maybe I shouldn't say that. That should be a joke right now.
Right.
So, Jeanette, how long have you been a corrections officer?
For 17 years, I started working with the youth at St. Charles. I did that for 15 years, and then I transferred over to Stateville, and I've been there now for 2 years.
17 years?
Yes.
That's a long time.
It is.
I thought that you would probably, nobody would even guess that, do they? They don't guess that you're that old.
No, they don't.
I don't know how old you are, but I'm not going to ask, but 17 is a long time.
Right.
I just wouldn't have. I thought that you would, you look so young.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to make sure that I did. Listen, I'm not as, okay. I'm not as, look, my memory. My memory is crazy. Okay. So you've been working at the Stateville Correctional Center. I'm not going to ask you which one, because I know we have a lot of them out here, don't we?
It's just one.
Oh, okay.
That particular one.
So I don't put it.
That particular one.
Oh, okay. So you've been working there for 17 years. That's a long time to have been. It shows that you are a stable person. What made you decide to go into something like that? And this is considered like a career, isn't it?
It definitely is. 22 years ago, I lost my son.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
too.
and a couple of my friends worked there, with the youth boys. I worked with them first. I'm with the men population now, but at the time it was an opportunity for me to make a difference in young men's life. So I took my grief and I turned it into doing something productive, for the community.
And you know what? And that tells a lot about you, because when people go through certain situations, how they go through it tells a lot. I mean, it helps them when you have some type of tools. Apparently, you had a good network system, a good family that allow you enough opportunity so you can think things through, and then you could use that to your advantage, because anything negative, you can always get something positive out of it. And I am so proud of you, because that is so wonderful. We all go through some type of grief process. People don't understand it. Even if I misplace these little dirty glasses, do you know, and say that these are ones that I really, really like, and I try to hold on to them, I will go through a certain level of grief, not the same as if I would lose a family member or something, but everybody grieves over something. Anything that you lose, even if it's a bad thing, it's a certain type of grief. That's what I was telling somebody, that that's why a lot of people are not able to get out of bad relationships, because you grieve them before you can even get out of there. So
it's a process.
Yeah, it's a real big process, but you took grief and turned it into a positive process. Instead, you could have taken it all sorts of different ways, but apparently I met your mom. Your mom wasn't going to go for some, some crazy stuff. So you did a wonderful job. Is that your son that I met?
It is.
Oh, he's so cute too.
So I was blessed to have one.
Oh, that's right.
My first one died in 97, so I was fortunate enough in 2008 to be, blessed, with my son that I have now. So,
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is so wonderful.
Yes, it
That's
is.
wonderful because sometimes, I know women that are unable to have children, period, and, they're just left being auntie.
Yeah, well, he's a miracle too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was 37, very high risk. I was actually scheduled for a hysterectomy, and the doctor told me, he called and said, I have to cancel your procedure. And I said, why? He was like, you're pregnant. So, at that point, I was working for the state, good insurance. So it was a difference than when the first one, passed away. Now they have, the technology now where they kept me in the hospital for the duration. I had what they call cerclage surgery to sew up my cervix, and we stayed in the hospital, I would say for about 4 months. He still came at 6 months and was 2 pounds, and then he stayed in for 3 months. So
Thank God for modern technology that can help that.
So yeah, it was a journey. And then, just the positive environment that I was in, I was doing positive things and, helping other people. So it
all worked out,
it
and
did.
God helped
It did.
with that, because when you think about it, back in some faraway days, women used to die giving birth.
Yes, they did.
And then most of their children died, so it's something. And we treasure most of our children. Why I say that? We treasure most of some of these kids out here. But we treasure them all. They're all beautiful, and we're all glad that they're here. So that is just a wonderful. How did we? See, you are something else you have to really go home and be grateful for, because
I am.
and other people can use that as a
children are gifts. They definitely are. And a lot of people say just they don't listen to children, but kids they have something to say, and we need to listen to them, because he's truly a gift, and he teaches me to be extremely humble and happy. And I'm sure that's why it looks so youthful. He keeps me busy, happy, and on my toes, and I'd rather have him and be happy and have nothing at all. So
and that's what people don't realize, that these children are teaching us something. They are teaching us a whole lot. We learn a lot from them, especially with the new age that we're going to. Each generation, we have to learn more and more. So now, when you went to work, what was your first day on the job like? Tell me about that. Wait a minute, but when you get the application in, did you say like,
what am I doing? Because at the time I had gone back to school for EMT, and the same day actually that I got the call to work for the state, I also got a call for Riverdale Fire Department.
Oh wow!
And so I was like,
you could have gotten into all sorts of stuff.
I said, do I want to burn to death, or do I want to get stabbed to death? 'Cause I was kind of afraid, they said prison.
Yeah.
But again, I chose that because I really wanted to make a difference in, the youth's lives. And so I decided to go that route. And actually, my first day, our perception of things is different from actually what it was. And we tend to always gravitate towards the bad, but it was such a beautiful day.
You know what, and I worked at a place like that for little kids that, they're not little kids, but they were teenagers that had gotten sentenced in this particular place.
Correct.
And I thought that it was a little worse. But you could see that children, and even when they get into these situations, these teenagers, they get into these situations, they really be calling out for help.
They do.
They really want help, but it's nobody sometimes around.
Yeah, but I have learned that any type of, when they don't get attention at home, even negative attention is still attention to them.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
They just wanted to be loved, actually, you know. And I think if we had more of that, had more of it takes a village to raise a child, communities coming back together, things would definitely change. You know, a lot of what's going on now, you wouldn't see the violence, you wouldn't see them hanging out, you know, in the streets. You would really see them coming back together, doing what kids used to do and just enjoying themselves, you know.
And you know, like for me, sitting here speaking with you, you're so soft spoken and you know, and you're so gentle and mild mannered. So I assume you didn't have to go in there with the club hollering and screaming at them.
You know what? Again, that's people's perception, and they think you have to go in there. And you know, I still stay in the hood, in the city, and so you know, I see them all the time too when they get out. And they, hey, Mama Kyle, and I know this was what has kept me safe over the years is the way in which you treat them. When you give respect, you receive it. You know, they've already been given their sentence, so you don't have to, you know, treat them bad, treat them poor, and you know, they like that. I had one and it broke my heart. Told me, Mama Cal, you know, you treat us like we're human beings. And I said, what? You are.
Yeah, you're supposed to treat everybody with respect, no matter what they do, because they just get into situations.
You know?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that's who you are for the rest of your life. This is just a pit stop.
Everybody has made mistakes, and you should not be judged upon you making a mistake.
I know.
You shouldn't be.
Just, and so, have you had any type of situation where your life was threatened, or you felt like maybe this is something that I might have to change my mind on?
Well, honestly speaking, they let us go home every day. We are so outnumbered that
I like what you said there.
Anything could happen at any given moment. If you're not afraid, you're lying to yourself.
So you never know what could happen.
You never know. You know. I stay prayed up. You know, and that's the bottom line. You know, prayer and going in there. You know, being fair and doing a good job. You know, so.
Wow,
that's what keeps me going and keeps me motivated, and then still the change that I'm looking to make and things that I, you know, am focused on doing.
Well, I know they have to feel grateful to have someone out there to feel that way, because some people that work in that field do not feel that way.
No, all of them don't.
Yeah, they don't. But apparently, you know, some of them that are family oriented, you may get some of that very specialness out of them. You know, like you are. So, have anybody said that they wanted to do what you do, or have you been a role model in that way?
Actually, I have had a couple of people to, you know, when I was in the bachelor's criminal justice program, I met a couple of students in my class, and I talked to them about the job, and actually a couple of them work there now. So I have. you know.
See that it pays. Some things pay
Yeah.
off, even if it's just one person that you can get through to.
Yeah.
It pays off because it's a spiral, or what they call like a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And it's
It helps.
like they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I was able to, you know, walk them through the, you know, process of the application, what's going to happen next, and, you know, talk to them about any fears, you know, or reservations, you know, that they may have. And I told them, you know, it's not what you see on TV, you know, it's really not, you know. However, you know, again, you know, they let us go home every day.
And that's a good
Absolutely.
saying right there.
You know.
How does your son feel about you working, doing this type of work?
My son is very proud of his mother. You know, of course, he. I don't sugarcoat anything, so you know we have real talk. So you know he's afraid, but you know he knows that his mom is, you know, a loving person, and she treats people like she wants to be treated. So you know he's okay. And he actually had a talk with me about if he wanted, you know, to become an officer when he grows up. How would I feel about
Going to
that?
law enforcement.
Yes. So.
Yeah, you know, if we could get some wonderful law enforcement officers out here, something to really be proud of. The ones that I've met on the whole, every officer that I have encountered was wonderful.
Yes.
I've never, no, I take that back. I have met a couple of them that wasn't. But in the wrong situations, you know,
Correct.
crazy.
Correct.
But the majority of most police officers that I met, they were just truly wonderful people.
Yeah, they're human beings, you know, and
Right, that's what it is, human beings.
they're human, you know. They're looked at as being, you know, superheroes, and you know they won't break. And the reality of it is they're human just like we are. So
Yeah,
they're
some are
afraid.
damaged and
They
some
can
are not.
And that's why I'm in school now for PhD community psychology, so that I can bridge that gap.
And that is
Absolutely.
what we're going to talk about on our next interview.
Yes.
So,
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming and giving us a little insight on. But first of all, wait, before we cut this off,
Okay.
Lieutenant, what actual title is that? Because I don't know, Lieutenant, Colonel.
Well, you start off being in juvenile. I was a juvenile justice specialist, and then I was promoted to supervisor. And in adults, you have officer, you have sergeant, you have lieutenant, and then you have major. So I'm a lieutenant at this point. You know. Yeah.
So then, your next stop is Major.
Well, you know, like I told you, I am in the PhD community
Right.
psychology, so I would love to still stay within the institution, but
To
you
help
know,
them
go
out
in the
mental
clinical
health.
aspect. You know, clinical service supervisor, or maybe warden.
Oh, okay.
You
Well, I
know,
like
to
that.
implement some changes.
Oh, yeah, that would be-
policies and
that would be so-
procedures.
See, these are the type of
Absolutely.
people that you need to meet
Yes.
and to embrace and to help encourage and to encourage other people in the community.
Yes.
You know, you've meeting her now, so you don't know. You'd be like, I remember her.
Yeah.
You don't know what
Right.
could come out of you just hearing about her today, because she is going places, and we will talk about that later. Thank you so much for being on Markie's World. I
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
me.
you.
Thank you.
So, wave goodbye.
Bye.
Okay. Now, I've been a mental health nurse for over 30 years. I worked for Lydia. I worked for VA.
Okay.
Worked for have you ever heard of HRDI?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was at.
I tried to get an internship there, and then they were taking so long getting back with me. So actually, I'm 79 with Dr. Karen Douglas in
What's that?
Indiana. Gilead
Oh.
Behavioral Health.
Oh, I never. Yeah. So that's what I did. I used to do one-on-one therapy, on group therapy sessions, and I used to be director over a couple of adult living facility and adult nursing homes.
Okay.
So now we're talking. This is what drew me to you, is because of the mental health.
Okay.
I just did a thing on NAMBA.
Okay.
Is it NAMBA? Is that how you pronounce it?
NAMI.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
I did a thing on them.
The National Alliance of
Yeah, I did a thing
Mental-
with them.
Okay.
It's on. If you go to my website, I think I talk a little about them, but I think I have them on my YouTube. I'm not
Okay.
really sure, but that's the thing. I'm concerned about the world with mental health.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's such a negative stigma, that people
Right.
don't like to talk, or they say, we have to keep everything that happens in the home.
You remind me of my cousin. I like you. Okay, so let's get this.
Okay.
Let's get this rolling.
Right.
Okay. Welcome to Markie's World, and I'm your host, Markie Shinn. Who we have here with us today is Jeanette Cowles. You may know Jeanette from a earlier version where she had one of the episodes she was on. She was a lieutenant for Statesville Correctional Center. She talked to us about that. But now Janet is back. And Janet,
Hello.
thank you, Janet, for coming back. I really appreciate it. So soon. But Janet is a wonderful person, and if you remember her, you would understand that she was a wonderful person, and she was telling us then about her lifestyle as a correctional officer and how she climbed the ladder. I say that she's big time, but Janet is so mild-mannered and so humble. Like she says, she lives a humble life. But Janet is going places, and Janet has been places, and Janet is at places right now. And she's a caring person. So we brought her back so she can give us the part 2 of where she's getting ready to go from here. So Janet, tell me all about what you're getting your PhD in.
I will be graduating June of 2021 and getting my PhD in community psychology. Wow. Me working in the prison setting and watching the news, I just saw that there has been a big impact on frequent trauma, first responders being exposed to traumatic events, and them or it not being okay for the helpers to get help because of the negative stigma, that's out there. They're supposed to be superheroes, not seen as being human. If they say they have an issue that they're not fit for duty. So,
and sometimes they actually are, but we expect so much, like you say, superheroes, we expect so much out of people. But listen, when you're, say if somebody is asking for help, we have a tendency of when we get help from people, down in them. That's why the Good Samaritan law, people don't even want to get involved in the Good Samaritan law because by me being a nurse,
the repercussions,
right? If you
backlash.
Do you know that they literally sued a woman, a nurse? She got out the car. You're dying. She gives you CPR, but she crushed one of the ribs. Now you're alive though. She got you alive, but you wind up suing her for the rib.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I mean, so who would want to stop? After that, people are always trying to find some type of way to get some money out of something. But this was something that she pulled over for. You know, she
To
could have
help
kept
someone.
going.
To help.
And, you know, whether right or wrong, if she kept going, then you have to think of the moral aspect. Oh, you were a nurse and you kept going. Why didn't you stop? Well, I didn't stop because something could happen in me trying to treat this person, and I'll get caught up in a lawsuit, which a lot of people are. But people don't talk about the good that goes on every day, all day long.
Yeah.
So, but that goes back to like what you were saying. People think that you're Superman, but these are human beings, and you never know what can come out of that. So tell me more. I done took over.
Well, you know, I just kind of, when I explain it, you know, I'm also a part-time therapist at Gilead Behavioral Health. So, you know, the patients that I see, I explain to them, it's like a battery. You know, we have to recharge batteries. And when they get depleted, you know, you have to fill them back up. But, you know, we as first responders feel like we feel selfish when we want to take care of ourselves. So, you know, I let them know it's not being selfish, it's being self-full. You're filling yourself back up. You have to do that. If you don't practice self-care, you can't care for anyone else. So that's very important. We go to the doctor every day for diabetes, you know, for asthma, high blood pressure. Mental health is the same, you know, but the negative stigma, you know, the words that they use, crazy, and no, you're crazy if you don't get the help. And it's okay.
But you know what, and people have, this is what I was telling my friend, people have their first thought is to call a person crazy because they're different. They're not crazy, they're just different. And just because they're not going through the norm doesn't mean that they're crazy. But sometimes some people, even the most normal of a person, can fall off a little. And it doesn't mean that you're crazy, it just means that you need some tools to help you get over certain things. A lot of people don't have the tools, what we were talking about earlier. You know, if you don't have the tools, how are you going to get back up? But sometimes you don't have the parents or the sisters and brothers and aunts and grandmothers to teach you how to handle a situation. Death in the family, you lose your job, this and that. That's how some people, they may do well off of drugs for a moment, but as soon as something happens, they don't have the tools, even though they've been to therapy 20 times. You know, they still really don't have the tools because a lot of people are out here just, they setting up programs for them to get paid off of, and you are just in there, and they're going through the meal. Yeah, you need this this one-on-one, and you need this group therapy, so let's do this. But what's really coming out of it, because when a lot of them get out of therapy and they're right back on the streets doing their drugs, and their mentality, you gotta, you see, it all go back to you. The mentality, hopefully you'll be able to help them.
Well,
drug mentalities.
They don't have the coping skills, and you know, anything that you go throughout your life, it's an adjustment to it. So you know, sometimes they have adjustment disorder, and it doesn't mean that they're crazy. You're just adjusting to whatever situation, you know, it is. And like you said, these you know, places out here, you know, get a grant and they're temporary fixing the issue. You know, they really don't care about the person. So you really have to find a place where you feel comfortable and establish that rapport with your therapist, and there's a continuum of care, not just temporary, you know.
But you know what? I found out even just the environment, the way it look, it doesn't have to be beautiful. You don't have to put $1 million in it.
Definitely.
But these people don't even bother to even paint the places in like 10 or 20 years, or they got the same nasty carpet on the floor.
Definitely.
You know, sometimes if you're in a cleaner environment, your head is a little cleaner.
But and
do that make sense?
but you know what? A lot of times, unfortunately, that's the people that come into our community.
It's about them making money. It's
Absolutely.
not putting anything into that.
Absolutely. So we have to make positive and effective changes for our own community, for our own people, you know. And that's what I am trying to do, you know, over at Gilead. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see you again
Yes.
once you get over there,
Yes.
because I know you're gonna have a
Yeah.
whole lot to say. You won't be so mild mannered.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have a whole lot to say.
Yes.
Okay, so with what do you think is one of the major problems? I mean, do you think that it comes from a certain age, a certain family, peer pressure?
I
or-
honestly think it's the entire ecological system. You know, that's with the individual, themselves, the community, you know, your job, the environment. It's a lot of factors that play into that. I wouldn't just pinpoint it as the one, but you know, however, when you have a good support system, that really has been a positive, has been affecting, you know, the patients in a positive manner when they don't feel alone, when
Right.
they don't feel like they're by themselves, that at least someone cares.
And that does, that plays a big role in it,
really
because
does.
you feel like you're by yourself. That means no hope.
Right.
What are you going to dream of nobody to encourage you or to give you any type of motivation? Yeah, it is kind of sad. You have to be, you know, very strong-minded. You have to be one of those people that be on television one day like, I struggled from
Yes.
nothing and brought myself up all by myself, you know. And people shouldn't have to do that. Not in this day and age, especially with everybody getting paid to help all
But
these different
again,
people.
with you know, such a negative stigma out there on, you know, mental health, you know, people, they don't want to be, you know, diagnosed, you know, saying that they have some type of mental illness, because it's pretty much frowned upon, you know.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. So, you know, if I could just help one person, you know, then I feel like I've done my job. I'm in the process now of creating a crisis intervention, you know, for corrections, because I just see that if I can do, you know, something, you know, everybody wants to, like you said, the temporary fix. I want it to be a continuing thing, you know.
And for you to say that you're trying your best to do
Yes.
something to help, you know, and that's how some people are saying, like, well, you could say that something is wrong, but what are you doing to
Actually
help,
doing
you
to
know?
do so, right. Yeah. So I had to step up and, you know, try to do something. So, you know, that's what I'm doing at this point.
And we all are very grateful for that. How could we not be? Because so many people are out here. They're claiming they're doing something.
Yeah.
But remember, I was a mental health nurse for
Okay.
a long time. I can tell you who's who, what's going on out here for a long time. I've done them all, done everything. I've done one-on-one group therapies. I've done methadone. I've done a whole lot. I've done all type of nursing. But my major thing was mental health, mentally ill, substance abuse. And they kind of go hand in hand, but not always. Not all people that are on drugs have mental problems, and not all people who have mental problems are on drugs.
Correct.
You know, so it does go hand in hand.
But we have to, you know, educate the people, you know, about those things. And I think we also, it's our duty to advocate, you know.
And if they could get some, because we have little women out here, the functional people,
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of like what you call undercover drug addicts because they're on anti-anxiety medication, which is the hardest drug to get off of. Anti-anxiety, what is that? Codeine pills and all these, you know, that they get from the doctor. So they're medicating themselves through the doctor with
Definitely.
pain issues, you know. And I think that's where you should really kind of start from people, try to grab them before they can get too deep into certain things. And next thing you know, you're in trouble. I met somebody that was actually in trouble. I was like, what? You was what? And now you're where? You know, so you don't know what these people are, you really don't know what people are going through or what type of lifestyle that they're
Correct.
they're
And
going
then,
through.
they don't, well, some people don't want to classify street drugs and what
Right.
you get from the doctor
Right.
as being, but
They think they're two different situations, but they're not.
exactly, but they're not being, you know, again, educated, you know, about that. And then, you know, we have to, again, advocate, you know, for our people, let them know, and that these drugs are just as addictive, you know, as these are. Just because the doctor gives them to you doesn't mean that they're, you know, safe.
If we could get the younger ones as well, because this marijuana, this is an issue. What they call it? Weed. This is an issue. That stuff stinks. Everywhere you go, it stinks. But I'm not gonna get on my personal issues about that. But that's something that we really need to probably get a grip on and find out. Should this stuff actually even?
But you know what? Again, that goes back to what I was saying about, you know, the community and how it used to be. You know, with it takes a village. If they had more
a lot of this
programs
stuff
out here, you know, to keep the kids off the street, you know,
just somebody to even speak up.
to talk to, advocate for them, you know.
We haven't had a real Martin Luther King in a long time. Where are you?
I've even taken a proposal and tried to get a program in, you know, my neighborhood going, but thing is, they say they don't want the element.
Oh, right,
You know, but they live there, so why shouldn't they be able to have something where they live, where they can go, you know? And even if when they do have something, sometimes you have to pay fees, and you know.
I would rather have a neighborhood that's in treatment than a neighborhood that's going to go down, because what's going to happen is when you walk down your street, all these for sale signs, not because these people have to move, because they want to move by choice, because they're losing their homes because of the drug, the mental problems that they've occurred, they didn't have help, and they're not having any insurance anymore. This is becoming a real big issue.
Yeah, definitely.
I was watching on television a little earlier, and they said that this particular neighborhood, it wasn't in Illinois, but it was somewhere else. They were saying that because these people had a record, they couldn't get food stamps, they couldn't get help with housing, they couldn't get insurance, they couldn't. I was like, well, what's going to happen? So
the cycle will continue to repeat itself, you know. And then if these are the parents, it's going to be a trickle down effect to their kids and then their grandkids. So again, you know, we as a community need to educate our people, advocate for them, and you know, start to make a positive change. You know, I'm just one. You know,
you're one, but you're a big one. You're a very big one.
And so, you know, I try to, you know, just talk to other people and connect with other people, and try to do like clothing closets, and you know, feed the homeless. Well, I have
Oh,
a young lady in my PhD class as well, and we're trying to get a closet together for women. And you know, that's with people donating nice, good clothes, doing makeovers.
They can do interviews and go on jobs. They have clothes. Yeah. Because that is the issue if you don't have any shoes to wear to go.
This land is your land.